Welcome back to the shop, everyone. This week's video takes place in 2025, week 5, January 27th through February the 2nd. And yet again, we are working on the passenger side exhaust. So, you can kind of see I'm using cardboard to space the pipes off in various places. Cardboard is very handy for this. Make sure that when I'm lining stuff up, I'm going to have the appropriate gaps and whatnot. So what I'm working on here is I need to get the outlet of the muffler in line with the pipe going up and over the diff. So I'm just trying to get that all centered and figured out, and then from there I'll be able to try and figure out how I'm going to connect the two again. So one of the problems that I kind of had when I tacked this all together was that everything kind of moved around and shifted. It also didn't help that when I was welding everything up, that one pipe decided to kind of split apart. But with everything moving and nothing actually like properly mounted in the car, I kind of went, I need to get the hanger attached to the pipe. That way everything is in line. When I put the pipe back in the car, it goes into the exact same place every time. Once it's in the exact same place, then I can finally finish the outlet from the muffler up into this pipe. Because quite frankly, if this pipe is moving around and out of alignment, it's not going to work good in the long run. So we're just throwing some welds on the hanger and onto the pipe, and then we'll pull it back out and we'll kind of give it a finish weld. You're going to get to watch me struggle here for a little bit, because pulling the pipes out of the hanger rubber, it takes a lot of effort, and it's a really tight area up in there, and it's a really frustrating kind of thing trying to get that off. Like, it's so freaking tight. And the exhaust pliers that I have don't fit up in there. I tried using them. So it's just, I gotta fight this to get it off. And so what I end up doing is actually just pushing the rubber off the back of the hanger, and that lets me get the whole thing out. So those are the pliers I was talking about. And if you can get these lined up correctly, it actually makes getting the rubber out of there super easy. If you're just doing it by hand, it sucks. But yeah, with the right tools, it makes it a lot nicer. So we're just gonna go and finish welding up the hanger so it doesn't move. So every time I'm under the car, this old hanger is sticking down, an inch and a half or 2 inches, and I think I'm gonna either poke my eye out or take a chunk out of my scalp. So we're just gonna quickly get the grinder out with a cutting blade, and we're just gonna cut both of the hangers down short. We don't need all that extra hanger, so let's just cut it down. And what I also do is, because it's so tough getting these on and off of the hangers, I'm also going to cut a chunk of the piece that I have to push past the rubber in half. That way it'll come off a little bit easier. And the reality is, nothing should really be moving in the car. It's all V-banded together, so I'm not worried about this like sliding back and off by cutting that little extra piece of the end of the hanger off. So back under the car, and this is going to be a common theme: under the car, over to the bench, under the car, to the bench, under the car, to the bench, as it has been in previous videos. I'm trying to get that rubber isolator, I think it's an isolator, back on, but the hanger, when I welded it on, it's a little bit too close to the suspension bar there. So what I'm going to do is take my die grinder with a small cutoff wheel, and I'm actually going to do the same thing that I did on the hanger, which is cut off half of the end. So the way it works is it's got like a downward bar, and then like an angled bar, and then a bar that's angled up just to help keep it on the car, I guess. But I don't need all that much, so I'm just going to cut this down short. And best way was with the die grinder. I had to switch out the disc to a larger one, but I will eventually get it off. So with the rubber piece back on, we can now hang the mid pipe back on. I'm just going to call it a mid pipe, I don't know why. But we can hang that mid pipe back on. We can hang the tailpipe back on. We can bolt those two together, and then we can start figuring this whole puzzle out. Alright, so throwing the muffler back up just because I need the muffler on to know where that pipe's gotta go. As you can see, I struggle with this a little bit. Doing this all one-handed is fun, interesting, but it is what it is. So with that up there loosely, we're going to get this kind of pointed out the back, and this isn't a great angle, but if you rewind, you may have briefly seen that the muffler outlet is actually now going way past that pipe. And and you'll know in a previous video I welded in that little chunk between the inlet and the muffler because I thought I needed to space this back. But I'm actually finding that it's way too far towards the rear of the car now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut that chunk that I welded, or I just tacked it in, thankfully. So we're going to cut all the tacks, cut that little chunk out of there, weld the flange just directly back to the muffler. We'll throw some tacks, well, sorry, we won't weld it, we'll tack that back to the muffler, toss it back up in the car and see if that's going to work. Alright, so with this back up in the car, it's looking like I can make this work. It's still not perfect, but it's certainly a little bit more in line with what I need. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the muffler off, and I am going to weld that flange the whole way around. And I do something stupid here because when I cut that off, I cut the muffler piece, which is just mild steel. But for some reason, I thought I was welding stainless to the mild steel. So I back purge it, and I use a 309 rod to do this. When the reality is I could have just used a regular ER70S2 rod to weld the mild steel to the mild steel. But whatever, back purging and welding with this it's just good practice, and I don't think it's going to hurt anything. Hope it doesn't hurt anything. Like, I hope that bracket, or the I guess that's the inlet. I hope the inlet doesn't like break off or anything, but well, we'll see, I guess. So I knew that that long pipe on here was way too close to the outlet of the muffler for me to actually be able to, do all of the pie cut pieces and bend it in the way that I need. So while that muffler is cooling down, I'm going to pull this out and I'm going to cut a chunk out of this pipe. And then once the muffler's cooled down, we'll throw the muffler back in the car. All right, so with the muffler back in the car, the rest of this is just a little bit of Tetris and a puzzle piece. It's taking some pie cuts and getting it lined up with the pipe and then, making that work. So this is kind of some of the stuff that I did before. So one thing that I did is I was like, well, I only have a limited amount of stainless, so I don't really want to just cut off a piece and without it, being the right size. If I cut it off too short, I'll have to cut a longer one, and that'll waste a bunch. So I thought I'll go grab some 3-inch PVC. I did realize kind of during the purchase that PVC, when it's 3-inch, it's measured by the ID, so it's a 3-inch on the inside diameter of the pipe. So the outside is probably actually closer to 3.5. And stainless tube, 3 inches measured on the ID. So effectively, my 3-inch tube can fit inside the 3-inch PVC. So this doesn't really work well. I would have actually been better off 3D printing a section of 3-inch OD tube and then using that. But I tried something, it didn't work. I'll just scrap this and I'll move on, and I'll cut off a piece of tube that's might be the wrong size, but it is what it is. the fact that this tacked up piece here is just sitting in there, and everything is just kind of holding itself, is quite promising and quite exciting. And the end of the passenger side exhaust, it feels like it's within my grasp. I just need to weld up like 5 or 6 more seams. So for this, I am using my brand new 3D printed purge cap. This one's slightly better than the old one. It's a little bit thicker, so it kind of bites into the metal a little bit more. And we're gonna just fly through welding this. So right about now, a couple things start happening. So just as I'm welding this next set here, you'll see a little bit of smoke coming from the piece, and the purge cap kind of flop off, but it's also melted. So at this point in time, I just stuff it back in there. I'm like, oh, okay, it's melting, whatever, I'll deal with it later. Obviously that's not good, but you know, the show must go on. I need to back purge, I need to weld. So I'm going to say this for myself. Obviously, the purge cap is not happy. It's melted. It's falling out. I should have stopped here. I should have pulled my head out of my ass and stopped what I was doing. I shouldn't have just continued and forced it in there and just been like, oh, well, I'll deal with this later. It's already half melted. The reality is that was the worst thing I could have done for this. I should have stopped, and I should have just gone to some tinfoil. Quite frankly, I should have just thrown the tube just straight in there and with some tinfoil to do the back purging with how short of a section this is. But as I've said many times, I'm a bit of an idiot, and I just kind of powered on through it. I didn't do the weld closest to the purge cap, thinking, oh, that should be good enough. And then, I'll flip the purge cap around, I'll purge from the other side, and then I'll do this weld last. So I just, like an idiot, just plow through this. But this is a lesson learned, right? Of what not to do, and I won't do this again. I'll be much more cognizant of where the purge cap is in relation to the weld, and what that I can't use just like this PLA purge cap for this. So at this point in time, I'm trying to get the purge cap out, but it's just not working. Like, I'm banging it on the desk. Like, it is literally just melted to my exhaust. So what I do, instead of continuing to bang my brand new welded piece, I go and grab my propane torch. I heat up the stainless and melt the plastic some more and just get it ripped out of there. And this made an absolute mess of the inside of the pipe. But at the moment, I'm not going to be upset or angry, because I'm just going to go test fit it on the car, see that everything is still angled perfectly. There's no problems with that. And I'm going to use a drum sander and try and sand all of the melted plastic out of this. But the reality is, it doesn't actually sand out of there all that well. I thought it would. I thought my drum sander would just absolutely destroy the PLA, but melted PLA is pretty tough, I'm not gonna lie. So I like to think I got a little bit smart here, and I decided, well, since I have this fitting so well in the car, I'm going to tack this in the car. I'm not just going to do my usual little Sharpie 3, marks and then line it all up on the bench. No. I am going to tack this right here in the car. Let's use a little bit of common sense. Oh, are you excited for this? I'm excited for this. So let's get this fully welded pipe back up in the car. We'll attach to the outlet of the muffler, and then we'll see if it actually lines up with the tailpipe. Now, you'll see if you have a keen eye, you'll notice I haven't welded the flange on the end of the tailpipe fully. That's not a big deal. We can weld that later. It's in. It worked. So now I can get started on the driver's side exhaust. So what I'm going to do here is something you've seen me do before. I'm measuring all of these pie cuts to find the smallest the smallest section on here, mark a straight line, because that way if I'm building like a 90-degree elbow, I just line up all the shorter sections together, and then it's not going off and, you know, going all cockeyed and whatever. It's going to be, you know, a nice 90-degree. So now, I didn't really throw the camera under the car because all you'd be looking at is me under the car looking at the car. So figured give you this kind of bigger, wider perspective of what I'm doing sometimes. But yeah, I'm just under the car, and I'm kind of just planning out where I'm going to route the exhaust on the driver's side. On the passenger side, I was still really tight with the support brace for the diff, so on this side, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to see if there's a better way, and I think that there might be. So I'm just, you know, doing a little bit of planning and testing and figuring out that way. And then if that way is better on the driver's side, what I will end up doing is next year, I will go back through and I will redo the driver's side exhaust and make it the same as, or passenger side exhaust, sorry, and make it the same as the driver's side. The reason why I say next year is I got a bunch of other stuff I really want to get done this year, and as long as I have exhaust on the car going all the way out the back, I'll be happy with it. So I don't think I'm really going to say too much more for the rest of this video because I don't really run into any snags or anything. I'm just slowly piecing this together and doing it in a little bit of a more methodical way. What I will say is instead of tacking everything all together front to back, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tack everything together to a certain point. Once I'm happy with where it is at that point, I'm going to fully weld it. That way, if there's any distortion in the metal for any reason, I'll be able to correct as I go instead of getting it all done at the end, doing all of the welds, and then, you know, the rest of the system being out of whack. So I think it's going to be a combination of what I did on the passenger side, which is just tacking the whole thing front to back, and what I did, you know, on the front pipes, which is just welding everything all at once, just being a lot more tactical about it this time. So the shot coming up is a real good example of what I'm doing. I'm no longer coming off the outlet of the muffler and angling just straight up to where it's going to go above the diff. I'm actually coming like more 90 out of the outlet. It's actually, I think, 75 out of the muffler. Yeah, 3 times 15. Yeah, let's go 75. So we're coming 75 out of the muffler to a straight piece, and then we're like 90ing almost vertical up into that space. This actually gives me a lot more room and clearance on that strut brace. That's that brace that's right in front of, or behind, I guess, the pipe with that big nut welded to it. So by going far to the outside and almost going like vertical with this pipe, yeah, I'm gaining a ton of space, and I'm so much happier with it that I will end up redoing the passenger side in this way. Now, fortunately, I really should only have to redo it from the muffler outlet up over the diff. I should be able to, in theory, still match it up to the tailpipe as it is. But we're not going to worry about that. We're working on the driver's side now. So I really think that the hybrid approach of just tacking everything together and then fully welding it has really worked out, because I am so freaking happy with where this is at in the car, where it's built, the clearance that I have, how this looks. Everything is just coming out amazingly so far. Well, we have made excellent progress on the driver's side so far, and I'm really excited to keep going with this, because I think this side is going to be so much better than the passenger side. But that is all the time that we have for this week. So as always, if you've stuck around this long, I would like to thank you for viewing, and we'll see you in the next one.